Good morning and welcome back. It's Michael, Kate and Sally again, talking about leadership in organizations. We had a phenomenal response to the session we put out last week around why we hate the new normal. And I know it resonated with a huge number of people where we started to call it the current reality. So we clearly touched a nerve there. If you haven't seen it, check it out from last week's post. The other thing that we were talking about over the last week or so as coaches and organization development specialists is that one of the things that binds the three of us is that we all coach senior leaders in organizations. And we're finding some common themes, not just during COVID, but certainly over the last number of years, about things that coaches need and things that coaches do, and advice we provide. So Kate, let's start with you. If you think back over the last number of years, what's the one piece of advice, what's the one thing that sort of comes up time and time again in terms of your coaching?
Well, some of the things I talk about come from sports coaching, sports psychology, and there's quite a lot of work that we do as executive coaches that draw on the learning from sport and the research that's been done about human performance and how to increase effectiveness. And one of the things I often talk about is managing energy. So sports people know that they need to rest after they've exerted themselves. And the phrase that it's a sprint, not a marathon, is sometimes quite helpful for leaders and managers to understand, because if we don't manage our energy, we can quickly get depleted and move into feeling more negative emotion and burnout. So we need to build in renewal time. We can't always be at high energy. So that's one thing that I often talk about.
Yes. Yeah, I certainly came across that concept a few years ago where I learned that I needed to stop talking about time management and talk about time and energy management, that there was no point in having lots of time if you were too tired to do anything with it. So yeah, I'd come across that idea and use it a bit. What about yourself, Sally?
I think connected to energy, there's also the importance of rest, replenishment, recuperation. And I think busy people with lots of responsibilities, people who are completely fixed on a new vision for success, don't want to waste any time. So quite often they won't take the time to pause and to rest. And one of the things that I encourage people that I coach to do is making sure that they take time away, because that time away to rest and recuperate enables them to come back with a renewed energy and with a renewed focus. And we know that's really crucial for the functioning of our brain. Yes. So eating well and hydrating well, but making sure that you rest is also a lesson that's been learned from sports, because we know that's what great athletes do.
Yeah. And I mean, it's interesting that we're saying that the research is in sports, and I think that's not unusual. The money is in sport to do the research, while 100 years ago, the money was in the military and factories and production. Now that really leading edge psychology research is definitely happening in sports. And we've seen some great examples of that transitioning into everyday life, about things like marginal gains and visualization and energy levels. Kate, is there a single piece of advice that you would give people from your experience of working with sports people or working with leaders?
Yeah, I think just touching on what both of you said, it is quite hard for many of us to press that pause button and indulge in relaxation, renewal. And so there's something about feel the unworthiness, but do it anyway. Because people feel guilty about stopping and taking time for themselves. The self-care, as we call it, and the well-being is often the thing that we do last when we look at our balance wheel. Usually it's the work and the money and the relationships that come higher than the self-care, the exercise, the nutrition, the rest, the sleep.
Yes. And that quality recovery time, that you can do a better performance but through quality recovery. You're just back from a week away, so how are you feeling now by comparison to where you were, let's say?
Yeah, much more refreshed, definitely. Yes, and able to then be more thoughtful about how I'm prioritizing my time.
Yes. Yeah, and I certainly had a week in August, and when I started the week off, I didn't feel that tired. I thought, actually, I'm just going to have a week away from computers and Zoom, etc. But it was only about 2 days in that I really realized how tired I'd become. I had been on adrenaline, I'd been on a sort of treadmill of it all. And it was only by stopping, it took a day or two for me to go, actually, do you know what? I was pretty burnt out before I stopped. And then I had 4 wonderful days of just nothingness, of reading and chilling out and not having a to-do list every day, which was lovely. What about yourself, Sally? A break over the summer?
Well, like you, a few days in August, which I found, hugely helpful. But I think just picking up on the point that Kate was just talking about there, about that importance of self-care. The other reason why I think it's so important for leaders to take the time to rest and recuperate is the role modeling aspect as well. I've had leaders say to me, yes, I work 7 days a week, but I don't expect anybody else to. But actually, in fact, everybody knows that they're doing that. And from a role modeling perspective, that isn't great, in terms of their team's energy. So encouraging everybody to be making sure that they get that balance is so, so important. And as we go into September now, we're into a new term, if you like, when moving forwards, there's an opportunity. I think lots of people tend to think of September as the start of the year. So this is an opportunity for us to be re-energized, and leaders need to be leading that. And recently, Michael, you told me the story of something that you do with a water bottle to really help people get an understanding of energy and energy management.
Yeah, I saw this demonstrated about 25 years ago with 2,000 people in an auditorium. And I do it myself with people on a training course, where I liken going to bed to sleep as you're filling up your water bottle. So you wake up in the morning with a full bottle of energy. And the idea is to use that energy preciously to achieve what it is you want out of the day and to do the things you want to do. And what a lot of us do is that instead of having a nice commute to work, or instead of using our energy in the morning, well, we waste it. We use it to have a bit of road rage, or we use it to have a bit of unfocused work, or a bitch and a moan even. And what we find during the day is that our energy levels are going down and down and down. And the particular way of demonstrating is that, of course, you splash the water around the place. Instead of drinking the water and using it, you're splashing it and wasting it. And then when you get to lunchtime, instead of stopping and actually having a break and getting some fresh air and getting away from your desk, and therefore maybe putting some energy back in, you grab a sandwich at lunch and keep working, and the energy levels go down and down and down and down. And for me, the really critical moment is that you get to 5, 6 o'clock in the evening, where you have the whole evening, you have loads of time, but actually you have no energy left. And you get to that stage where you're supposed to spend time with yourself and spend time with the people you love, but actually you've wasted your energy somewhere else during the day. And I think it's a really visual, really physical way of describing this idea that you can have all the time in the world, but if you don't have the energy to give to the activity, then what's the point? And watch that water bottle, watch where you spend it during the day. I think it's a lovely way of looking at it. Okay, that's us for this week, I think. Have a fantastic week, and we'll see you next week. We might pick this theme up again, because one of the things we're seeing is the need for leaders and managers to have coaches, to have somebody to help them reflect and to think about what they're doing. So we'll probably pick this up again next week. See you all then. Take care.